The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Yeah, we're early, but that is necessary due to our flagship station getting into Alabama coverage at 8 a.m. But hey, we roll early with a shortened edition. But there's going to be a lot of talk about the future. No, we're not like Doc Brown or anything like that, but we see some things and we're going to let you know about them. We got the future of the Cup Series, especially when it comes to horsepower. This could be some good news. We hope, anyway. Future of a long-lost driver coming back to the Truck Series. Got the future of a champion that's stepping away from the NHRA, at least on the short term. Long term, we'll have to see what the plan might be. So we get all of that future talk. Happens, well, in the future. But in the real near future. That's the good news for you. All we got to do is take this short little break, and we'll get into it.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back. We appreciate you joining us here on a shortened early edition of the show. We are going to be talking about the future here in a moment. Let's real quick update you if you missed out on Crossed Flags, which is available right now on CRN Live on YouTube, where we are talking about whether the kids can play nice or not. We also updated one Matt Nicholson. Let's get a quick update in case you missed that. How are you, and what's the latest?
Well, after yesterday, extremely exhausted, even worse than what I have been.
Sure.
It was just the radiation treatment 2 weeks ago, and then having to deal with what called me crazy, but I'm experiencing it firsthand. The PET scans that I had to have done on Wednesday just have absolutely sucked all the life out of me, just about it. And it's very exhausting, but we're just waiting on test results right now.
Okay.
That's what we're waiting on.
Praying for the best there, man. Praying for the best. All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Again, we'll talk about the future in a moment. Let's talk about the past, get you caught up so that you're set up for this weekend. Last weekend was kind of a weekend for setting records in NASCAR. Last Saturday, the winner of the Xfinity Series race set a new record for wins in a season by one driver. Now sits at 10. 4 more races left to make that bar even higher. Connor Zilic, quickest in practice, claimed the pole, led 61 of the 68 laps to, well, nobody's surprised. Claims the win. It was likely going to happen anyway, but it was clinched after the white flag that NASCAR pulled out of caution because there was some oil on the track. The 19-year-old Cup-bound driver, he'll be in the Cup Series next year. New record of 10 wins, as we noted. Bested Austin Green for the win. Sammy Smith third. Kaz Gralla, Connor Mosack, Jeb Burton, William Sawalich, Justin Allgaier, Nick Sanchez, Christian Eckes make up the top 10. So they're ready now and will this weekend get into the round of 8. Zilic is the leader, to nobody's surprise. Sam Mayer is 2 points above the cut line. Jesse Love, 2 under. Sammy Smith, 7 under. 11 under is Carson Kvapil. Sheldon Creed's 13 under the cut line. Left behind, Taylor Gray, Nick Sanchez, Austin Hill, and Harrison Burton. We'll talk about Harrison Burton a little bit later.
I saw a stat on Zilic and the lead that he has going into this next to last round is the largest point lead that any one specific competitor has had in any of the top 3 series in history.
I'm not surprised by that.
57 points.
That's ridiculous. I mean, he's almost guaranteed going into the next round, truth be told.
Yep.
As far as the guys that are under, Sam Mayer at 2, above, Jesse Love, Sammy Smith, Carson Kvapil, Sheldon Creed, all these guys, there's 13 points separating them. So, I mean, as much of a gap as Connor Zilic has at the top, that's real tight down at the bottom with 3 races and a wild card of Talladega in the middle of that.
Yeah, it's one of those, I guess you could say it's one of those Verstappen-like performances with points leads.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That's the only way to say it.
Speaking of Max Verstappen and the guys over in Formula One, Sunday morning was a dominant day for one driver, but it was not Max Verstappen. Here's maybe not even one of the ones that would likely come to mind. It was, well, sorry, George Russell on that one. Russell parked his Mercedes on the pole, dominated the race, gets the win by more than 5 seconds over that hard-charging 4-time defending champion Max Verstappen, who seems to have suddenly come to life here. Verstappen claims second, trailed by the McLaren twins of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. The other Mercedes of Kimi Antonelli rounded out the top 5. Then it was Charles Leclerc 6th, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, Ali Behrman, and Carlos Sainz making up the top 10. Piastri still holds the points lead in Formula One. It's 336 to 314 over teammate Norris. Verstappen's now at 273, so mathematically he is still well in it. The win puts George Russell firmly alone in 4th, 237. He'd have to win out for him to have a legitimate title contention, but congratulations to him. I mean, 4th place is not anything to sneeze at when you're talking about standings in Formula One. 5th is Charles Leclerc. He's got 173 points. The team of the Constructors' Cup standings now officially won by McLaren after claiming 3rd place with Lando Norris. It was all they needed to lock it down. They now have 650 points. Mercedes 325, Ferrari 298, Red Bull up to 290. Next is Williams 102, Racing Bulls at 72. Aston Martin 68, 55 for Sauber. Haas F1, Ali Behrman got just inside the top 10, so they're up to 46, and Alpine is doing a great job of holding the basement down at 20. Like in the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series race last weekend at the Charlotte Roval, also a cutoff race. The least shocking part of this was the winner, Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen broke his own rookie record for wins in a season. It now sits at 5, tied another record, 5 road course wins in a row. The all-time record is 6. I'll let you know that. We'll find out next year at COTA whether he can do that. The main drama was actually who was going to get knocked out of title contention and who was going to move on. So SVG claims the win by a Formula One-like gap. That's the best way to call it. Rest of your top 10, Kyle Larson, who actually, he and Christopher Bell, they did a nice acquittal of each other. I got to give themselves credit for that because they could have just gone, well, it's Shane Van Gisbergen, we're fighting for second. These guys actually tried to battle and led some of the race.
Yeah, they give him a clean dogfight. Even though him and Larson traded shots with each other for about a lap or two there, it was still an overall clean dogfight, and they raced him hard.
Yep.
And he just kind of laughed and drove away.
Exactly. Well, it is. He was like the cat playing with the mouse that's almost dead.
That's a fair way to say it.
You know, he let him get a lead. He battled with him for a couple minutes, realized he was using his equipment up, backs off a little bit, lets everything cool off and resets, and then just starts to methodically work his way past Bell, then gets past Bell, works his way past Larson, gets past Larson and says, thanks for playing the game, I'm out.
Yeah, it's one of those little, and then you go.
Yep, that's it. That was done. Larson second, Christopher Bell third, Chris Buescher fourth, Michael McDowell fifth, Ryan Preece, Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, and Tyler Reddick fill out the top 10. So as we get into the round of the 8 for the Cup Series, no big surprise here. Denny Hamlin leads the way. He's no worries there as far as he just kind of cruises on into the round of 8. So we drop down to the bottom of this, and I think we got the picture over there. Producer John will show that. I think he shot it early just a moment ago, but no big deal. William Byron's the guy on the hot seat. And I use that term very loosely here because kind of like the Xfinity Series, things are really, really tight down there at the bottom. Not quite as tight in the Xfinity Series as in the Cup Series as in the Xfinity, but still pretty tight. William Byron on the hot seat. He's 4 up on Christopher Bell. Bell 4 under. Chase Elliott 14 down. He and Chase Briscoe are tied at that mark. And then Joey Logano 24 under the Cup line. There's that guy again, Joey Logano. Last year, we were put in pretty much the exact same situation. He skates into the round of 8. Granted, he needed a disqualification last year to do it, but he skated into the round of 8. And then what did he do? He went and hoisted the title. Now, this is an odd year, and that's why I didn't pick Joey Logano, for one of the reasons. But there he is, just sitting there, lurking, and to borrow the whole Halloween situation since we're in the month of October, if you look just behind that tree over there, there's Joey Logano acting like Michael Myers, ready to pounce.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know,
we'll see.
He's playing by the rules that are laid out.
Exactly. I mean, that's all you can say about it. And you know, here's the thing. He's a good restrictor plate racer, to borrow the old phrase, so you can't discount him at Talladega. And where did he win last year? Remind me, in the round of 8? Oh, that's right, Las Vegas.
I've had some, ever since last Wednesday, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, I've had a really, really awful taste in my mouth, literally. And this only makes it worse for me to say this. Logano's one of the more dangerous ones at Talladega.
Yeah, he and his teammate, Ryan Blaney, both.
Austin Cindric's dangerous, too.
Yeah, all 3 of them. And they all run for the same team.
Yeah.
Watch out, boys and girls. Watch out. Those who missed out on advancing from the round of 12 into the round of 8 were Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, not for a lack of trying, we'll talk about that in a bit, and Alex Bowman. Chastain on a road course could not try the old Hail Melon, which is illegal now anyway. He did make a bonsai run in the final laps, through that final chicane, actually got into Denny Hamlin and was facing the wrong way, undeterred, slammed it in reverse and backed across the finish line. But Logano finished just ahead of him and 4 points up on him, so Chastain out, Logano in. There you go. We'll get back to that because there was conversation about that whole thing. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
This weekend's racing begins later today. Xfinity Series runs the Focused Health 250 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It'll air on the CW and PRN radio. Starts 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Sunday's racing, NHRA competing the Texas NHRA Fall Nationals at Texas Motorplex near Dallas. This is going to be in conjunction with the NFL because Fox has the coverage after the early afternoon NFL game. Starts about 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Central Time. And the last race of the weekend amongst the series we cover that's running this weekend is in the Cup Series. Vegas, South Point 400, USA and PRN radio. I don't even know what's on NBC, and I'm done trying to figure them out. USA and PRN radio starts 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. I can kind of tell you why they put it on USA because of the relatively late start. It would have bumped up against Sunday Night Football, and NBC's not going to do that.
Oh, no, not even close.
Yeah, so 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Central Time start. That's why it's not on NBC. They could have started it a little earlier.
NBC programming for
Sunday.
For Sunday.
Well, you're looking that up. IHRA and NHRA and the Craftsman Truck Series are all off this weekend as the seasons begin to wind down.
Coming to you, well, they don't have any reason to not start it early because 2 p.m. Central is 12 p.m. start in Vegas.
Yeah.
But and that time block from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and it is on Eastern time. No, this is Central time.
Okay.
It's Central. From 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Coming to you live from Carmel, Indiana, the 2025 World Aquatics Swimming World Cup.
I'm just going to leave that there. All right, so let's talk about the future. I teased it at the beginning of the show, and that's indeed what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the future. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell got to talking to no less than Dale Jr. on his podcast. Is this good news? Well, it is something that a whole lot of people have been screaming for. Talk about it next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. We're going to spend some time on this one, so it's a good thing that we started a bit early here, okay? Talking about the future of NASCAR. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell got on with Dale Jr. on the Dale Jr. download this week. Downloaded an interesting bit of information. We'll see whether this is good, because I'm going to put, obviously he is the resident driver talking about Matt Nicholson, so I'm going to put him squarely in the seat and see where we go with this. Cup cars are going to see at all tracks less than 1.5 miles long, and this does, by the way, include road courses, a jump in horsepower to 750. So what this means is that we start off the year at Bowman Gray Stadium. Then we go to COTA. This is all in order. COTA, Phoenix, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol, Watkins Glen, Dover, Nashville, San Diego, Sonoma, North Wilkesboro, Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, Worldwide Tech Raceway, a Gateway, and the Roval. Plus, you're dealing with all the second visits to those tracks as applicable as we get through the rest of the year. So of the 36 points, of the 38 races, I guess I should put it this way, because we're including Bowman Gray in this. Of the 38 races, including the Clash and the All-Star race, 22 of 38 races are going to be affected by this, if my math worked out.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 22, correct.
22. Okay. So over half of the tracks that we're going to race at next year are going to see an increase from what is currently, did I remember hearing right, 670 horsepower on the short track package?
Correct.
To 750. So that's 80 extra horsepower. Now, 80 extra horsepower, if I stuck that in my terrain that's sitting out in the parking lot, man, I'd notice it in a heartbeat. But when you're going from 670 to 750, how noticeable is that?
I'm going to speak from it in the sense of because I've actually encountered this in a dirt car, in a late model.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use a comparison of this, right? Use it in the comparison of this way right here. There's one simple way to say it. It's very noticeable.
Okay. Because
your right foot will tell you really, really quick what you need to do with it in that car to make it, if you got to follow what I'm saying here, to get it to where it will stick and you can keep all the horsepower going to the ground to get max speed out of your car.
So we've already been dealing with situations trying to mate Goodyear tires up to allow the short track racing to be better. Is this going to make it better, or is this going to make it worse? Because now, you've got a tire management situation here that is much more pronounced. And again, I don't know whether this is the perfect fix, if you understand where I'm going with this.
Personal opinion, I don't think it's enough.
So they're on the right track.
Track is there. The track is in the right direction. I don't think it's enough.
And you're not the only one that said this. Kyle Petty actually said he would have liked to have seen 850 or more.
I haven't even read the full thing on this rundown, and I'm sure this is probably in there later. If it is, I'm gonna foreshadow like I'll get out here.
Yeah.
With this and I'm gonna word this very carefully, what seems to be this back to basics mentality they're gonna take beginning next year. It seems to me that's the direction they're going.
Yeah, according to what I heard from Steve O'Donnell, yeah.
If they're going to take the back to basics with the number that said that it was going to be industry-wide, that it would be an increase of increasing the horsepower by 80, I'm calling Bravo Sierra on that one. I'm calling it on that one because I can all but promise you a very, very large majority of the components in the engines now can withstand probably 8 to 850 with the components that are in it now.
Okay, and that does bring me to another question, because you would know about this more than I do. To go from 670 to 750, you don't have to make a major change to the heads or the block of the current engine. This is an internals situation, isn't it?
It's a double-edged sword of both.
Okay.
Here's a comparison, a direct comparison that I can give to define that of what I personally experienced years ago, which seems like ages ago. I was going through the process of building having a new engine built. Didn't have any issues with it, but it's just going through the process of having a new, stronger engine built.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some of the main components that I had, and we're going to talk here in RPM numbers, RPM range numbers here. Some of the main components that I had within the bottom end rotating assembly, all the way up to the top end where the heads set on the block.
Okay.
That's considered the bottom end. I had components where I could have very, very, very likely, because I saw the spec sheet myself, that could have very, very likely, I would have had the only all-steel engine in the entire southeastern United States of America that could have ran 10,000 RPM and sustained.
And that's changing internals.
That is from the internal components. Nothing to do with the block. Nothing to do with the head casing.
Okay.
There's a clear definition there.
Okay.
You get the RPM and the horsepower level out of what your rotating assembly is on the bottom end. That's the crankshaft, connecting rods, rod bearings, all the way up to your pistons.
Mm-hmm.
What kept me from having that engine be that level of RPMs, which would have had me a stupid level of horsepower, that's what I'm going to define it as.
Okay.
Were the actual components of how the valves were built.
Okay.
Because I saw a direct spec sheet of what valves my engine builder wanted to use versus what he had to use. The valves that he wanted to use, which would have been titanium valves, those titanium valves would have allowed me to have that high level of RPMs, which would have generated a high level of horsepower.
Okay.
You go back to these valves that he used, which were stainless steel, they were only had a rating of 8,500 RPMs.
Gotcha. Okay. So there's still room to play here, in other
A
words,
lot
with the
of-
internals,
there's a
without
lot of
having to
room.
go through and start to alter the structure of the engine.
A lot of room.
Okay. John Probst got to talking about this as well. He's NASCAR's executive VP and chief racing development officer. He said this, quote, like any other change we're considering to the cars, we listen to the fans a lot. We listen to the drivers. We have stakeholders in the broadcast, the OEM, the manufacturers, and the team competition and team business folks. So there's always no shortage of feedback that we get, Probst said. He continued saying, our fans are very passionate. They provide very candid feedback. So all that's very important to us, and we do listen to it, and we're working on a lot of things in the background. We don't often talk about them until we're ready to come out and announce an implementation plan for them, but their feedback is very important, Matt.
I'm calling timeout on that one.
Okay. And yeah, we'll just take this piece by piece because we got a ways to go.
I'm throwing, considering I saw a high level of these thrown last night in the game, I'm throwing a flag on the plate. I'm throwing a personal foul on this one. Your competitors and your drivers have been louder than the fans have.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
They have been louder about this. Former competitors have been loud about this.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, both on their podcasts. Denny Hamlin on his podcast.
Yes, the people that sit in these stands, no matter where you may be at on any given weekend, yes, that is the driving mechanism for this sport.
Sure.
All right?
Yeah, if we're not in the seats and we're not watching on television, this sport goes away.
But your ones that are sitting in the seat, they drive it just as hard.
Sure.
No pun intended. They drive it just as hard because they're trying to tell you what's going to give a better product and a better race in whatever race you're going to be in. It's going to give you the better race.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And where they messed up, in my opinion, 750 should have been turned loose for super speedways. Minus Atlanta.
So Daytona and Talladega, not Atlanta.
Daytona and Talladega, because you have this ridiculous have had. You didn't see it as much in the 400 a few weeks ago. You didn't see it as much. You have had a severe problem of by lap 3 or 4. Oh, we're going to sit 3 wide and ride for 70 laps.
At 75 or less % throttle.
Sometimes even 50.
Yeah.
You give that extra horsepower from 510 to set. That is 140 more horsepower at a super speedway.
Agreed. Well, 240 actually, 510 to 750.
240, correct.
Correct. But at that point in time, you're starting to now edge into that territory that NASCAR, are getting uncomfortable with when it comes to speed. So what aero-wise do they have to do to try and keep these cars planted?
These cars are so planted now.
Well, in other words, if they get turned, we've seen them get up in the air and flip over. They want to try and stop that. How do we do that?
Well, they would need to clearly put out of however the heck they do it through simulate, because you got to do it through a simulation, because there is no way that they took a car to a super speedway somewhere and implemented all these flaps that they have, run it 195, 198 miles an hour, get it sideways. Oh, let's see if he takes off.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they do that.
Right.
None whatsoever. All right. So they can do that through a simulation. What is the lift-off speed for the car? What is the lift-off speed? What is delta number A of the lift-off speed? All right. Then you can go, all right, we're still okay. Because when a car gets sideways, it doesn't get faster unless you're on grass. And what has Daytona and Talladega done tenfold? Talladega's done it
just about all the grass.
Talladega's done it since the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Everything is paved.
Mm-hmm.
Daytona, when Ryan Preece went down the backstretch a few years ago, paved everything.
Yeah.
That stuff is there, but these new cars are so planted to the ground because they refuse to take away this ridiculous underbody because we're trying to make Cup cars IMSA cars. And there has been some admission to that.
Yeah. In fact, Steve O'Donnell did state that he felt like kind of we went a little bit too far trying to be everything to everybody. And here's the thing. You can't be everything to everybody.
No.
You're just not going to do it. You can't please everybody. You're not going to make everybody happy. In fact, what you're probably going to end up doing is ticking off more people than you make happy.
To absolutely take it word for word, the man himself, Matt Coulter, has loudly said on multiple occasions in various avenues, they tried to fix what wasn't broke.
Yep. So how did they get to the number 750? Probst said that it was what they call a happy medium. It was arrived at in a conference between NASCAR officials, the engine builders, and the teams. To go more, he said, would potentially cause a loss of reliability. Is that necessarily the worst thing in the world, to have a couple of engines go bluey? I mean, these things are rock solid as they are right now, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, but there was, as you and I were growing up through this sport, and it doesn't matter whether or not I'm older than you or not, you and I have spent a lot of years being fans of this sport, and there was the drama of the potential of somebody having an engine grenade on them while they were in the lead, for crying out loud. There's drama in that. 2019? I think 2019. When we were in that tower at Talladega. when they took off, when this was the first race without restrictor plates and the tapered spacer. Yeah.
We're sitting there and we're hearing nothing but complaint after complaint after complaint. Oh my Lord, these engines are sustained RPMs they were running were 85 to 8,800.
Oh yeah. These things were bouncing up there real high.
Screaming. Because I recall stepping out. I'm like, I'm going to step outside. I want to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to one lap, come back in, and the words I said out of my mouth was, "Oh, dear Lord."
Yeah.
I've never in my life heard something like that. We're going to put the 1-inch wicker on the spoiler. We're going to do this. And what did I say? Because I remember.
They're going to go faster.
I remember Russell Branham called, "Hey, boys," I can hear his voice now. "Hey, boys, y'all get ready. They supposed to make a road change and try to slow these cars down." And I said, "No, they're not, Russell.
Yeah.
They're about to speed up."
Yeah. As soon as you found out what the rule change was going to be, you went, "Nope, they're going to speed up."
First practice, they was, I think, like 201, 202. Second practice, I
205.
remember seeing 205, 206 on the board.
Yeah.
And I'm literally looking, going,
Told you.
I felt like the kid in that little meme that you see on social media standing there after he gets off one of the car from fixing it. I'm sitting there going, told y'all.
Here's the thing. We said that, and the boys from the MRN booth are right next to us, and those walls were paper thin. That was the old PA booth before they had built the new one.
It was in the old one.
Those walls were paper thin, and you weren't screaming, but you were loud. And I looked over and I saw, oh gosh, who was it?
It was Alex.
It was Alex. I
Alex.
couldn't remember whether it was Alex or whether it was Jeff.
It wasn't Jeff. It was Alex.
Alex looked over and he started listening. I could tell he was listening very intently to what you were saying. And sure enough, it popped up.
When it popped up.
And Alex just kind of looked over and.
Alex looked over and grinned. I went,
there it is.
told you.
So anyway, he said potentially cause a reliability, prompting more research and development, incurring more cost. Again, you start talking about working on the internals. I kind of get that, but still. He noted the higher numbers were in discussion, but to go to 750 from 670 was the number that pretty much everybody landed on. He also noted that it was talked about to introduce a bigger number this year, but they didn't want to change that before or during the 10-race playoffs. Competition officials wanted the time to be able to test the higher horsepower numbers to ensure reliability and durability is maintained. Plus, they wanted to do this as open book as they possibly can because of the considerations of the new car makers, obviously Dodge, and we're still going with that even though they haven't officially announced it. It's, I would say, 99.9% likely it's going to be Dodge instead of any other Stellantis brand.
Put 2 plus
and
2.
then maybe Honda.
You can put 2 plus 2 together on that with them trying to get Dodge in. What does, from a high level of horsepower branding that Dodge has, what do they live, eat, sleep, and breathe on? Hemi.
Exactly.
Give us 750 and we'll have a Dodge car back in 2 years.
But when Steve O'Donnell actually, on the Dale Jr. download, stated the name Honda, that's the first time we have heard anybody use that name specifically. You and I have bandied it about along with Nissan.
Yeah.
But that's the first time it's actually been spat out by a NASCAR official.
Yeah, and from talking about they could agree on the 750 because of reliability. It's not a reliability from the parts standpoint. That's an opinion. I don't think it's a reliability of a parts standpoint. It's because when you get up into that 800 to 850 and start then the development of it, you're going to find, and I'm going to use Doug Yates for an example, because synonymous with horsepower and Ford engines, Yates. There's no other way to say it. All right. Doug is going to find something within the boundaries of the engine specs of the engines in the rule book. He's going to find something that's going to get it let's say they bumped it to 850.
I agree with that.
He's going to bump it to at minimum 849.99999.
I'll be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if we get 750 and they start doing a dyno and we start coming across some of these engines. And I don't care whether it's ECR, RCR, Hendrick, Roush Yates, or TRD. I don't care.
Right.
Somebody's going to come up with a number that NASCAR is going to go out and they're going to say, well, this particular engine, fill in the blank of who manufactured it, hit 755.
Yeah, because I think you got that little bit of a cushion there that you can play with. But he sat there and said, "Oh, it's going to take months and months and months." I respectfully disagree because I can guarantee you right now
they're already working on it.
It's probably a 750 engine sitting in a shop somewhere right now.
I'd almost guarantee it.
That I can bet it. I'd bet the farm on it.
All right. So based upon everything that we've said here, because we do have to move on being a short show, based upon everything we said, this is a move in the right direction?
It is a positive move, yes.
Okay. And based upon everything, and I can guarantee you, I know you listened to what Steve O'Donnell talked about with Dale Jr.
I listened to it twice.
Okay. Yeah, and I listened to the vast majority of it 2 times. I listened to the whole thing once.
Yeah.
To me, yes, this is a step in the right direction. The other step in the right direction is he said, hey, we tried to be all things to all people. We need to come back from that. That was the next step in the right direction to me.
I agree. No, I totally agree.
Okay.
Totally.
Now, thank you for listening. Steve O'Donnell and John Probst and Steve Phelps and all those other people. We appreciate that, because how long have we been screaming that? And I know we're not the only ones, but how long have we been screaming that? Next, come talk to us. We've got some other ideas about how you can step back from going to try to be all things to all people.
Well, one other thing I'm touch on that I heard him say too. What they're looking to do is open up working on the cars a little bit more to get some innovation back within everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. And
there, we can all sit here and we can all root for the brand, whether you're a Chevrolet, a Ford, or a Toyota fan, or for that matter, a Dodge or a Honda fan. Let's presume both of them come in. I don't care. Let's throw them all in there. We can all root for the brand, but the problem is right now there is very little difference between a Chevrolet and a Ford and a Toyota when it goes out on that track.
Outside of what the nose piece has on the car.
Again, there's some, but very little.
Very little. But the one thing that I heard him say that I disagree with, I would not go to just one facility and test. I would go to 2 facilities and test.
Oh, at least.
Not just North Wilkesboro, which I think Wilkesboro is a solid place to test it out at.
Absolutely.
Very solid.
Go to Richmond. It's not that far away.
I'd go to Darlington.
Go to Darling. Here's the thing.
I'd go to
You're
Darlington.
in Charlotte, North Carolina. How many tracks that meet this criteria are within a 5-6 hour drive?
Quite a few. Martinsville, Wilkesboro, Charlotte, Richmond, Darlington. For giggles, let's see if we can go Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
Bristol, Nashville.
See where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen? You throw out Charlotte, obviously it's a 1.5 mile track, but
Yeah.
it does have the Roval, so you could go out there on the Roval.
You could test it. There's your road course test right there.
Test this thing out at several different tracks with several different makeups, and let's find out what we really have. And spread it out amongst the teams. If you want to make sure that you're being fair, spread it out amongst all the teams. You can do that.
But see, here's where it comes in at the reliability and everything, because they have this rule which I think is ridiculous. You got to run one engine for I think 3 races, so it's got to last you 3 races.
Yeah.
Rip that page out of the book.
On to the next thing. A lot of talk was made and about what was said and what wasn't said on team radios at the end of last weekend's race at the Roval. NASCAR did some investigating, but in the end, they determined that nothing was out of the ordinary in the Cup race. In the Xfinity, they warned a couple of people. It did prompt some concerns considering last year and manipulations of races, that being a big uproar. So NASCAR Managing Director of Communications, Mike Forty, said this week, quote, "We're planning on making teams aware that our eyes and ears are open to any shenanigans." He noted that all radio communications from last weekend's racing was gone over, thoroughly reviewed, while 2 Xfinity Series spotters were warned for discussing points over the radio. Nothing else was found. Amanda Ellis, who's NASCAR Senior Director of Racing Communications, said this week, quote, "To my knowledge, there was no formal communication to spotters that told them they could not talk about points. Further, it's not a message that you can't talk about points. It's more of a message that if you're talking about points, it should be about your car and not other vehicles that are in play."
I was about to say, don't contradict yourself on saying that right there, because you were on the verge of contradicting yourself with that statement.
And then back to Forty, who noted, quote, "We did review it. The beauty of social media is, in this officiating area, we now have millions, or at least thousands, of officials that are sitting at home reviewing things like HBO Max cameras," which is what I do. I listen to that, and listening to radio transmissions. It's very, very difficult for anything to slip by, but there are some things that are going to slip through the cracks, no doubt about it. It does seem like that they're always going to be caught by the fans who are as tuned in as any sport, and I will die on that hill. very impressive works by our fans. Go ahead.
I'm throwing a personal foul and an unsportsmanlike on this one. You just sat there and admitted that you relied on social media and fans to find that? Well, way I heard that wording, that's what it sounded like to me.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. That's a valid assessment in my mind.
And how many, considering it's the largest track, they're going to bring the largest number of people there. How many officials on any given week, any given race weekend that we're at, do we average on seeing there? Probably 50 to 75, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
And we're admitting we're listening to what fans point out for officiating purposes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
40 continued. So we did review it. Nothing rose to the level of penalty. I think we have some meetings with teams at a certain point this week or weekend. He said this early in the week. If they need a reminder, let's not put ourselves in jeopardy here. Fans should be coming to the racetrack and expecting a straight-up race where each position is fought for as hard as possible, especially at the end of the race. If we do see or hear something that we don't like, we're going to step in, which we have done several times now. By the way, if you're asking for a change to the playoff structure or any flat-out elimination, bad news, at least in the short term. Any changes will not be announced before the end of this season. Part of that reason why is because any change announced now with 4 races left, including this weekend, would be met with, well, why didn't you do it now? So just be patient. They'll announce something sometime. Based upon
He's
this,
going back to 36.
Yeah, probably. And it might be an overreaction. I'm just saying. I don't mind what we had when we first instituted the playoffs in the fact that we didn't have this cutoff thing.
Chase style, yeah.
Just do a straight 10-race chase and, you run 10 to... Heck, if you want to put all 16 drivers in there, fine. Put 16 drivers in there, run a straight chase, and whoever comes out at the top at the end of 10 races, they win. I don't see any problem with that. This whole elimination thing is trumped up. But in this radio situation, and I'm putting you in the driver's seat because you're the driver. I'll put myself in the spotter situation. And think about being in the position that Denny Hamlin was in last Sunday at the Roval. I know that this would be right up on the edge of the out-of-bounds marker. But my question is this over? If I, as the spotter, tell you as the driver, hey, the one car is coming hard, and he and the 22 are fighting for a playoff spot, so this might mean problems for you. Be careful. That throws up, to me, a yellow flag from the NASCAR officials. But the question is, should it?
No, because you're involving yourself.
Yeah, me as the spotter, I'm looking out for you, my driver, because I want to make sure you keep all 4 corners on that car so that car, number one, finishes first and most importantly, and number 2, we are able to move on to the next round.
It is protecting our car.
But that does seem to me, based upon what I'm reading and what I'm hearing from them, that if I said that to you, me as the spotter, you as the driver, I'm racing at the very least a yellow flag from NASCAR officiating. And I'm not so certain that that's the right way to go.
But where it should automatically clear is when you say, so it doesn't take us out. That should be an automatic clearing because you're involving yourself in the picture.
Yeah.
Even though they're racing for the point stuff.
Yeah. Because to me, because Denny Hamlin was solidly moving on to the next round. We knew that. Yeah. But if you're around, I'll say we're on a restart and we're restarting right around the 1 and the 22, which in that situation last weekend, they were battling for that 8th and final playoff spot. And I know that you as my driver are around those 2. Shouldn't it be on me to at least warn you? You may know it, but then again, you may not. Yeah. Because your job at the point of being behind the wheel of the car is not to worry about the points that don't directly affect you.
Right.
So you're concentrating on driving. Shouldn't it be on me to realize, hey, I'm trying to keep my driver safe? These 2 might get a little bit wild and it might bring you up into this whole tornado of God only knows what might happen.
Yeah, I would want you to say something to me so I wouldn't tear the car up.
So they're going to be. They got an interesting little razor's edge to straddle there, and I'm interested to see how it actually works, especially at a place like Talladega. That's going to be real tricky. Mm-hmm. Got an update on Tyler Reddick. Got some good news from the Priest family. We'll still be talking about the future also when it comes to talking about the Xfinity series and more. We'll see how much we can get in one final segment. Yeah, no, that one final segment? What's up with that?
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Well, never was that more appropriate than right now. Go, 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 because we got 12 minutes to get in as much as we can. Let's see. Very importantly, for the second week in a row, Tyler Reddick raced with, well, other things on his mind, notably his son, Rookie. Rookie is in a North Carolina hospital. Doctors have been trying in vain to figure out what has been going on with the 4-month-old for some time now, but all efforts basically turned up nothing until last weekend when it was announced Rookie has a tumor in his chest that is affecting his heart. Tyler's wife, Alexa, posted on social media talking about the tumor, said, quote, "It is choking the renal vein and renal artery, telling the heart, hey, I'm not getting enough blood, pump harder. This has caused an enlarged heart for Rookie, and unfortunately, one of his kidneys is going to need to be removed as well, as doctors have determined that it is no longer functioning." She continued on in her post, quote, "He will undergo open surgery to remove the right kidney. We're just not sure when. Waiting is okay right now to give his heart a break while he's on BP medication. They expect his heart to fully recover because it was just an innocent bystander. We have answers, but a journey ahead is awaiting a journey ahead to bring our little cookie home." Being a 4-month-old, Alexis said he's happy, loving all the attention, quote, interacting with every nurse and doctor that comes in his room. He loves things like blowing bubbles and stuff like that. So he's a typical kid. It's just one of these, I hate to say situations that this has to happen to a child.
Yeah, because what happens to him or what is happening to him could be a point of emphasis for something happening in the future to someone else.
That's true.
That's a good way to say it.
We our hopes and our prayers go out to him.
For sure.
Judge Kenneth Bells granted NASCAR's request for judicial oversight, while designated mediator Jeffrey Mishkin will again be part of the main mediator in this. He was the mediator when they met in New York City back, I think it was in August. Bell now has put himself into the role of judicial overseer. He set the settlement conference for October 21st. So in other words, a week from Monday, right after the race at Talladega, assuming you don't get a rain out, and then moved the summary judgment request to hearing on Wednesday, October the 23rd. So here's the situation. We here in the state of Alabama have gotten ourselves into a bit of a dry spell here.
There's a little subliminal message in there.
The next best chance for rain that I can tell right now is a 59% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms that happen on Sunday of Talladega weekend. What the heck?
To the fine folks at the Alabama Weather Network, turn on the big blowers and just keep it back just a few hours.
There you go. Real quick, this broke yesterday late. Congratulations out to Ryan and Heather Priest on the birth of their son, Bentley Ryan. Came into the world just yesterday morning as we are live on this Saturday. Bentley makes them a family of 4, including his now older sister, Rebecca Marie. Congratulations to them. Big news out of the NHRA. 4-time Top Fuel champion Steve Torrence announced this week that he's going to be skipping the final 2 events of the season, Las Vegas and Pomona, in order to, as he noted it, concentrate on the family's pipeline business and do a reset for 2026. So he will run this weekend in his backyard, the Texas Fall Nationals, and then his 2025 season is done. He's a native of Kilgore, Texas, cited changing priorities, how the family business is growing, and said this, quote, "With the championship pretty much out of our reach, going out west for the last 2 races didn't make much sense, especially since we have the holidays coming up that we want to make specials for the girls," talking about his daughters, Haven and Harper. So the Torrances, both Steve and his father, Bob, they've been somewhat of a part-time organization this year. Bob is going to run this weekend as well. This marks only his 3rd event this season. Steve has already missed 4 events leading up to the chase for the championship. So the team, the family, apparently is looking at their priorities. I'm not saying they're going to step out of racing in Top Fuel altogether, but this may be a harbinger of things to come.
Billy's getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
From the family business.
I'm sorry, I said Bob, didn't I?
Yeah, Billy's getting ready to retire from the family business. So Steve is going to be taking over.
Yeah.
And
so they got to do a reset on that part before they can figure out how the racing side works.
And I know this directly because I have literally talked to the man and him myself.
Mm-hmm.
Their family business in Texas is massive.
And booming.
Massive.
Yeah, it's booming.
As in gas pipe laying and oil pipe laying.
Yeah. Yep. And with the man that's in the White House now willing to do that kind of energy, it's only going to continue. Let's face it. To the Xfinity Series, where Harrison Burton is one and done, apparently, at AM Racing. The team announced Wednesday of this week Burton will be dropped, who was dropped by the Wood Brothers Racing after the 2024 season in favor of Josh Berry, landed in the Xfinity Series. Up to this weekend, claimed 10 top 10 finishes and 2 top 5 results in 29 races. Got the team to the playoffs for the first time ever, but they got eliminated after the race at the Charlotte Roval. But they're still letting him go, despite the fact this is their most successful, arguably, season ever.
He got a little bit bigger deal to go somewhere else.
He's being linked to Sam Hunt Racing. Nothing official has been announced, but that's what he's being linked to.
Toyota.
Going back to Toyota, exactly. By the way, if you've been wondering where Munford, Alabama's own Brett Holmes has been this year, he's pretty much, taken the year off. The 2020 ARCA Menards Series champion will get a chance to drive at his home track, Talladega, this coming Friday afternoon. That's right, Friday evening is when the Truck Series race is going to take place at Talladega. He's going to be joining with Tricon Garage to pilot their number 1 Toyota Tundra. This Talladega race will mark his first race this year. Last time he was on the track in the Truck Series was the 2024 Talladega Truck Race, where he brought his Brett Holmes Racing entry home in 9th place, but then he skipped the final events of the year, ended up selling his operation to Hettinger Racing. So
who
he
has
gets
who has now sold all those trucks off too.
yeah, well, there you go. No disrespect to his own Brett Holmes racing operation, which obviously wasn't horrible. 9th place at Talladega is nothing to sneeze at. Is this equipment better? Best equipment he's had at the top levels of NASCAR? Okay, there you go.
By far.
Yep. Annual National Motorsports Press Association Most Popular Driver voting for 2025 is now open. Go ahead and let you know that. If you go to NASCAR.com/NASCAR Most Popular Driver, you can make your selection from your favorites in the Craftsman Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series. The polling officially opened up on Monday of this week, is set to remain open through noon Eastern on Monday, November the 3rd. Your defending Most Popular Driver winners are from the Craftsman Truck Series, Rajah Caruth, from the Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier, and oh, by the way, Chase Elliott won the Most Popular Driver in the Cup Series for the 7th consecutive time. Winners are going to be announced November 4th. That's why the cutoff is noon November the 3rd, so they have time to count it all up. November the 4th at the NASCAR Awards Banquet in Scottsdale, Arizona. Let's flip down here and talk a little Formula One here. While they don't get the honor officially until after the 2025 season, the 2025 Formula One Constructors' Cup title belongs to McLaren for the 2nd straight year and 10th time overall.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. This is good, by the way, for 2nd on Formula One's all-time wins list in the Constructors' Cup title, behind only Ferrari's 16. They broke a tie at 9 with Williams. By the way, this also ties the fastest clinch of the team title since 2023, when Red Bull locked it down with 6 races left. The driver pair, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, have combined for 7 1-2 finishes this year. That's the highest number for McLaren since their really dominant days of the 1980s, but all ain't perfect over there. The drivers have been allowed to race everyone, including each other, but unfortunately it led to contact between the two of them on lap 1 in Singapore. Going into turn 3, Norris, who had started behind Piastri, put his race car inside of Piastri on a left-hander, drifted wide, pushed Piastri so close to the wall that he had to back off, ended up losing the position. Norris had also tapped Max Verstappen, causing slight damage to his front wing. A flap was leaning over at an angle, but it stayed there for the rest of the race. Race stewards made no ruling on the incident, but when a frustrated Piastri asked whether the position would be ordered flipped back to him, that was denied. McLaren CEO Zach Brown said that the team would review things internally, but lean toward calling it, quote, just hard racing. Well, here's the thing. What about hard feelings? Because sooner or later, doesn't that come into play?
It does.
So we'll see whether or not that drama is going to torpedo one of them hoisting the driver's title this year. Because like we talked about Joey Logano acting like Mike Myers, sitting behind that tree just waiting to pounce, Max Verstappen ain't that far behind these two.
No. And if there's anybody more like Michael Myers, it's Max
Verstappen. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. We can wait on the IndyCar stuff here. So let's wrap up here talking about what's going on as silly season continues over in Formula E, where Jaguar TCS has finalized their season 12 driver lineup. They're going to keep Mitch Evans. They're going to partner him with Formula E veteran racer and champion Antonio Felix da Costa. This is an interesting move because da Costa comes in from Tag Heuer Porsche, a team that he's been with for the past 3 seasons and where he has 5 of his 12 career wins. He takes over this ride from Nick Cassidy. Cassidy left Jaguar to take over for the new Citroën team. Da Costa is one of the dwindling number of drivers that have been running in the series throughout its entire, but relatively short, dozen-year history. He was the series champion in 2019 through the 2019-2020 season. This is the latest move for a team that's kind of something in a bit of a transition. We noted recently they've hired a new team principal. His name is Ian James. He replaced James Barkley in that role. Jaguars' road cars are having a problem. This would be a bright spot if Jaguar could actually come in here, get a championship caliber driver in Antonio Felix da Costa, pair him with a veteran who's solid in Mitch Evans, and maybe go out there and fight for a title.
Should.
Because, again, this is a company that's in dire need of some good news.
They need something.
So we'll see whether or not this actually plays off, but I like the move here. As for Tag Heuer Porsche, they lost that, so they're going to have to figure that one out. And then maybe there's some good news here. You can expect a bit more attention to be paid to the team by Porsche Motorsports executives They've said basically that when they announced in the middle of the week that this was going to be the final year for their participation in the World Endurance Championship, they've just decided that it's no longer worth it for them to compete in that. All the resources that had been going to the World Endurance Championship will now go to their other existing teams, the IMSA GTP division team, and the Formula E operation. They're now going to get that much more attention paid to them. And all of this despite having had the 2024 drivers title in the WEC with their trio of drivers Kevin Estra, Lawrence Vanthor, and Andre Lauderer, a name familiar to people who follow Formula E because, well, they've been involved. He's been a driver over there as well. On top of that, though, if you're watching on CRN Live on YouTube, you're looking at the car. It's missing some branding. They've lost their high-end watchmaker Tag Heuer as their title sponsor. So they're going into next year with the new, if somewhat unimaginative name, the Porsche Formula E team. Now, Volkswagen, their parent company, has deep pockets, so this isn't a major problem for them. I'm not worried about that aspect of it. I mean, VW was willing to not only let Porsche do this, but actually also get into Formula One, at least as an engine provider. Right. And that's not an inexpensive venture either. So money I'm not really worried about, but let's face it, you lose the title sponsor of your team. That's a big hit financially.
For sure, especially on that level.
So I'm going to be very interested to see also in the fact that they lost a championship caliber driver, exactly what they do now.
It will be interesting.
So we'll keep an eye on it. And, of course, we have the Cross Flags podcast coming up this week. It'll be on Tuesday. We do plan on being back in the studio, but there is some good news. It does appear maybe my internet might be fixed. I got a call yesterday saying they found not just one, but two problems in my neighborhood. So it wasn't just affecting me, it was affecting my neighbors.
That'll do it, too.
But, yeah, probably back in the studio at least for one more week. Maybe we'll see how it goes. We have to step out early because our flagship station is an Alabama football affiliate, and they, even though it's a top 15 matchup, have the early kick. So we're going to go straight to their coverage. Y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you Tuesday on Cross Flags, and we'll be right back here, I do believe, at our regular time next Saturday for the full edition. Is that correct?
Talladega's next Saturday.
Oh, that's right. We're off next Saturday. Good God. We'll update you online.
A presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
WDNG 1450 AM.